Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over some interesting PlayStation news. If that sounds interesting, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing if you're new. It really helps the channel grow. The first topic of the video has to do with a new update for the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. This is coming from Game Rant and it reads, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection release date announcement might be soon. An ESRB rating and new Steam page points towards an announcement for the release date of Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection was revealed earlier this year at September's PlayStation Showcase, with the game featuring remasters of Uncharted 4, Thieves End, and Uncharted Lost Legacy. These games were both released during the PS4's era, with Uncharted 4 being the final chapter of Nathan Drake's life as he takes on one last adventure, while Uncharted Lost Legacy is a side adventure with Chloe Fraser that takes place after the events of the former game. While it was expected that both Uncharted games will be coming to PS5, it was a bigger surprise that these games will also be coming to PC. With this collection hitting two new platforms, the PS5 versions of the remasters are being handled by Naughty Dog, while Iron Galaxy Studios will be responsible for the PC port. The trailer for this Uncharted collection indicated that these two games will be releasing sometime in 2022, with no specific release window given. However, the announcement of the game's release date might be sooner than expected, indicated by its Steam page and an ESRB rating. The Steam page of Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection went live fairly recently, giving potential fans a chance to add it to their wish list to when it will drop. Some screenshots of Uncharted the Legacy of Thieves collection were shown, though captured on PS5, as well as some basic information about the game. This includes the language options, controller options, and achievements. The game system requirements have also yet to be announced. Uncharted the Legacy of Thieves collection also got an ESRB rating that indicated some of the game's contents and features. As indicated by the rating, this remaster seems to mostly focus on the game's single-player adventure with Nathan and possibly omitting the PS4 game's multiplayer functions. With this combination of an ESRB rating and the Steam page going live, it might point towards the release date being announced soon. As the game is set to release next year, it is possible that it will be at this year's Game Awards show, as the event is not only a platform to show off some of the best games that came out this year, but also give announcements to upcoming releases. However, this is just speculation at this time and should be taken with a grain of salt until the official announcement is given. So I just thought I'd let you guys know about, apparently this Uncharted collection might be getting a release date pretty soon. It kind of makes sense for it to be showing up at the Game Awards, especially if Sony doesn't have like an event towards the end of this month, which it seems like it's probably not going to happen. And especially if this game is going to release like in the first quarter or early next year, then it makes total sense for us to get a release date at the Game Awards. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Moving on to the next topic in the video, we're going to be talking about how Sony might have their answer for Xbox Game Pass. This is coming from PlayStation Universe and it reads, PlayStation is planning its own 3-tiered subscription service. A new report from website Bloomberg says that PlayStation just might have a plan for preserving their history after all. According to the new report, Sony is planning to introduce a 3-tiered subscription service, currently codenamed Spartacus, which gives players access to a catalog of modern and classic games. One of the tiers, likely the highest one, will grant you access to games all the way back from the PS1, PS2, PS3, and even PSP games to now. It's a service that will be available for both PS5 and PS4 owners and is also allegedly the final form of PS Plus and PS Now. The report suggests that when the service is announced this coming spring, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now will be combined under whatever Spartacus is really called, which is where the differently tiered levels will come in. What's interesting though is that it still may be called PlayStation Plus in some form, as the report also says documents which were reviewed by Bloomberg suggest PlayStation will be phasing out the PlayStation Now branding while keeping PlayStation Plus. All of this is quite a lot to take in. If this is Sony's plan to preserve their classic exclusive titles and more seminal games from their history, then hopefully they've learned from past mistakes. PlayStation Now has always struggled to find its footing and even to this day is still not totally understood by much of the community. Not to mention the inability to download PS3 games, the sheer lack of classic titles with even PlayStation exclusive games missing, and the poor streaming quality players still experience. If this new service will look anything like that, then it's not a real solution. It's exciting at least to know that Sony seems to have a plan, but whether or not they execute it well is another story. And I believe that Sony will execute it at least like pretty good. Like I don't see this coming out and it sucks, I know I'm a PlayStation fan and I don't care about the whole console war things. I like Xbox, I just prefer PlayStation. But if you ask anyone, what is the one advantage that Xbox has over Sony? Everyone says, and this is true, it's Game Pass, But if Sony comes out with their own quote-unquote Game Pass subscription, and you can play like PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games like on the PS5, that would be insane. Seriously, at that point, I don't know how people could choose Xbox over PlayStation. besides like exclusives, you know. And hopefully when this does come out, which it seems like it's going to, because this is coming from Bloomberg and Jason Schreier, and he doesn't really report on things unless like he has like a lot people in the industry that have told him, you know. So this is pretty much like confirmed, you know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be called Spartacus, probably not, you know. I don't know if they'll just call it PS Plus or whatever. The one downside I see to this is if they make it to where like you have to stream the games, you know, because on PlayStation Now you have to stream the PS3 games, which kind of sucks. But if you can like actually download the PS1, PS2, and PSP games, and maybe even some PS3 games, then I think this will be absolutely phenomenal. Like, even if like it's pretty hefty of a price, like if the games that are on there are actually worth it, and you know, they don't like crash, you know, then honestly I don't see how this could potentially fail. But what do you guys think? Do you feel like Sony making their own subscription service to where you could play PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games? Do you feel like that would be a good thing for Sony? And if you do you feel like it might reach the level of Game Pass? Or do you feel like if this ever comes out, do you feel like Game Pass would probably still be superior? Moving on to the final topic of the video, we're going to be talking about a new update for The Last of Us Remake. This is coming from PlayStation Universe, and it reads, The Last of Us Remake further hinted at in new job listing. Naughty Dog is heavily rumored to be working on a Last of Us remake, and a new job listing for multiple Sony studios, including the Uncharted creator, has further hinted that the post-apocalyptic adventure is being revamped for PS5. The job is for a technical game designer, which involves assisting in implementing existing gameplay systems into a new framework, which sounds an awful lot like a remake project. As mentioned, the job is for multiple Sony studios and not just limited to Naughty Dog. The Last of Us Remake has yet to be officially announced by Sony, although the initial report by Bloomberg seems pretty confident that it's happening. Reports have suggested that the game will be more than just a simple upgrade, and the project will really take advantage of PS5's power. The Last of Us was originally released in 2013 for the PS3 and was brought to the PS4 the following year in the shape of The Last of Us Remastered. Meanwhile, the sequel, The Last of Us Part 2, came out on PS4 in June of 2020. So I know this isn't really like a huge update for The Last of Us Remake, but this is just further proof that this project actually exists, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are still hesitant on whether or not this actually is going to be a thing, and I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. Earlier this year, Jason Schreier made probably, even to this day, probably the biggest article this year when he broke the news that Sony's actually working on this, and also about Days Gone 2 being canceled, and this just adds more flame to that fire, because in the job listing, they're wanting someone that can work on an existing franchise and bringing that gameplay and revamping it to the modern consoles like the PS5, so obviously that's The Last of Us. It could be Jak and Daxter or the first Uncharted, but it's pretty much at this point it's gonna be The Last of Us, and a lot of people, when this news first broke a few months ago, people were really hesitant. They were like, should The Last of Us be getting a remake? And technically no, because it came out 7 or 8 years ago, but there's sometimes when you play the game and there's certain parts of the game where the gameplay is outdated and the graphics are outdated, so to me, all I want for this remake is the same game that we have already, just with Part 2's graphics and gameplay. That's all I want. They better not mess with the story at all. I don't want them to put Abby in it so it makes more sense to Part 2, because that would take away from Part 2's shock, when you actually play as Abby. And also some people were saying oh, maybe they're doing this so it'll tie into the TV show, and that could happen, but I kind of hope it doesn't. Like I said, I just want the same story, same characters, maybe different level designs, or whenever it jumps from winter to summer and all that stuff, maybe if there's an extra level or something that doesn't really impact the story at all, that's fine to me. From this remake, all I want is just Part 2's graphics and gameplay. And even if this came out and it's full on $70, which it probably will be, I would pay that in a heartbeat. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing and turning on the post notification bell so you don't miss my next upload. Until next time, guys, take care.